Hi, welcome to Competency number 5, Season 5, Episode 8. My guest today is Jennifer Maxson. She's a leadership coach based in Grand Rapids, Michigan. She's also a dear friend of mine who I'm thrilled to reunite with in a podcast space, and we recently reunited as pals. We studied together at the University of Madison Professional Coaching Certificate Program, which seems like a long time ago now. The other thing that I have in common with Jennifer is we're both business owners, and she runs her coaching business. And I'm just delighted to have you on the show. Jennifer, how else do you want to introduce yourself to my listeners?
Well, Debbie, it's so great to be here and great to meet your listeners. I talk about myself and our organization is we help leaders at all levels. We walk alongside them to help them lead people, lead change in order to lead the business. And all of that is that forward movement as coaches that we love and enjoy. And we love to have clients seen not only in Michigan, but across the world.
Oh, that's fantastic. And I
Mhm.
have really fond memories of studying with you about 5 years ago now. Is that when we did our training?
If it seems so long ago, but so recent at the same time. Yeah, it's
I know,
probably
right?
about
About 5 years. And one of my fond memories of you, Jennifer, is that you always show up as vibrant. You are just a really vibrant person, not just in your gorgeous red blazer, but just your spirit and soul. And I remember I was such a new coach when I started training. Like, I really knew so little about the industry, but I remember you showing up in our cohort, the Game Changers cohort, as just someone who'd figured it out. You were already coaching, you already had your business, and I just remember really admiring you as a sister I could look up to and learn from because you were making it a business pretty early on, too.
I've been in this industry for a long time, Debbie, so 30 years come September, which is crazy to think about. Um, but what a great opportunity to live your passion for 30 years helping leaders in the area of communication and leadership and walking alongside them. And it's been fun to own my own business now for 8 years. So it's
Yeah.
really exciting to have that under moving forward and have a great team and be able to serve our clients.
So I'm going a little off road. Sorry.
Sure.
I am a Jeep driver and I see a detour. Well, it's related. So many people coach and strive to make a business out of it. What what first helped you see or feel that coaching might be an industry you'd want to be part of? Was it always that way? Like, did you train at the beginning that way, or was it a bit of a digression?
Actually, my degree was in communications and public relations, and so I started in the non for profit world and was in did that and did marketing and communications and events for a couple of years, and then I had the opportunity to join an organization called Nancy Skinner and Associates, and Nancy was this leadership presentation coach, and I came on just to do her marketing and communications for her at the time, not thinking that this was even an industry where I knew much about, or I thought, here's my career path. But Nancy was such a great mentor, friend, and leader that what I realized looking back, as soon as I think I had things figured out, she was really great to say, hey, now I want you to facilitate this program. And now I want you to work with this person one on one. And now I want you to take these key accounts. So the career has just grown and evolved over multiple years. Lots of time. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. And was there a point in your work where you realized you wanted to go out on your own? And if so, what was it?
I was part of a larger organization. So I was running a business unit for a law firm. And so it was a consulting group so we were a wholly owned subsidiary, and I was there for 14 years. So I really learned how do you lead when you reporting to another organization that's not in your industry. I was not part of the law firm. That was never part of the plan. And after 14 years of doing that, I realized I was really running this on my own. And so I was ready. It was the right time for me and my family to say, if I'm going to keep doing this, which I really wanted to do, now was the time. And so I took the leap, and it was really a nice springboard. And I had many clients come to me and say, Jen, what took you so long? Why did we knew this was possible? So it's always interesting when others around you can see it, but it
Yeah.
takes you, just like our coachees, it takes us a little bit of time to go. I think this is what I want to do. Okay, now I'm brave enough to go make that happen.
And do you think that's what they saw when they were like, "Jen, what took you so long?" Is it
Yes.
partly bravery?
Well, they had no idea, right? From the outside, it was like, just go do it. Just, go
Mm.
figure it out. But you and I both know, and other business owners know, there's lots of dynamics
Yep,
and owning your own business. And for me, that it was at a point in time where I thought, if I don't do this now, I don't think I'll be brave enough to go do it. And
yep,
so I had a great support system all around me, folks circling around saying, "You need this," which I didn't know I needed, and we're going to help set that up for you. And so I think others saw the potential and were like, how come she's not doing that?
mm,
Not thinking about what it really takes
yep,
to step out and say, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to own my own organization. I'm going to have my own team and responsible for all things. But I'm so glad I did. It would never go back.
oh, so happy for you, and
Yeah, thank you.
it really resonates, and I know that we've both experienced some downturn, like a lot of the coaching industry. I do not have my data in front of me, but I know from my own business, I was down 70% last year in
Mhm.
client, and I'm a client-driven business, so one-on-one coaching for now, group coaching is growing. I know you don't have to reveal numbers, but I know from our conversations you struggle too. However,
Yeah.
we've both seen an uptick lately, and I'm not fully rebound, but it's coming back fast, and I know you have too. What do you think's created a positive shift in the last few months, especially after the AI disruption of coaching, upset on corporate spending, all those factors? What do you think's helping us as business owners right now, as coaches especially?
I think that I see two things primarily are happening for me in our market. One is organizations have decided after holding back Q4, the last
Uh,
end of the year, everything stopped, that they really do have to develop their leaders. And when I say leaders, for me, that's leaders at every level in an organization, not just those at the top, because they need to build the succession in the pipeline, and individuals need help.
yep,
So all of a sudden, the budgets have started to open and we're spending again. The other piece is it was also a nice reset for me, even though things start to shift in a downward direction. It was also provided some motivation to be back out and be visible. So it
yep,
gave me the opportunity to be with the business communities in our areas and beyond, and just being visible, sharing stories, offering, a coaching session or a conversation and
yep,
inviting folks in. And I think that also created some more interest. So just like you, we're off to a really good part. I say this carefully, off to a really good, start to 2026. And I'm excited to see where we end at the end of the year.
yeah, I am too. And I noticed on Facebook that you are really consistent at posting. Tell me a little bit about any coaches listening to the show, to any strategy. And what I love about your posting is you're in it or someone in your team is in it. And I noticed, for instance, simple things like when I wrote you once that I think an email response came back, I'm at blah 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 event. We're at blah blah blah
Mhm.
event, and we'll return to you in 3 days. After, it's this lovely continual story that I hear from you, and I haven't hyper studied it. It's just when it comes across my radar
Yeah.
that it even when it was down, you sounded productive. You were still adding value, and like you said, that visibility piece. Tell us a little bit more about that logic.
Well, we're in the people business, and so one of my core values that's really important for me personally, important for our organization, is that we take a personal interest in all of our clients, whether we are with them for 1 hour, multiple days, or multiple years. So I feel like this personal connection to everyone that's been through a program or through a coaching session, whether I was with them or not. And so from the social media piece, you'll see the team. Nature is also really important to me as well because there's just something about nature and it grounds us and or it gives us inspiration. So you'll start to see some of that in our posts. But the consistency in telling our story of really what is it that we do and what are the challenges that leaders are facing. For example,
Yeah.
there was just a post on giving coaching and feedback where most managers think coaching is telling someone what to do and you get coaching when you're in trouble versus how do we really promote a coaching culture where we ask questions and we look at possibilities and help people elevate what they're currently doing. And so, and as for, the emails, uh, I want someone to know that we are going to get back to you. Their message is important. And
Sure.
so if this, even if it's just an interest in a program or a service, we want to make sure that they feel really good that they've always have an exceptional experience with us and one that's personal, where you really get to know me or the team and feel that sense of connection.
Yeah, it's a really interesting, often, and I say often overlooked. I have overlooked this. I'm thinking of another coach that did this really well. I'm trying to remember. It was an ICF coach on the at the ICF Chicago chapter, and she reached out to me on LinkedIn, having found me on the ICF chapter's website in Chicago. Wrote to me. I wrote back, and her email sender said, "I'm on leave." I must have caught her just after she went on leave. I'm on leave. If you're, and she was a leadership recruiting coach. She helped, whoops, all these balloons went off. She was, her niche as a communications coach was helping the jobless find their job, helping a jobless leader find their next job.
Mhm.
So her email sender said something like, I'm on leave until this date for 3 days. I'll be unreachable. If you've lost your job, and you need support, here are 5 things you can do. And she gave her 5 tips. And it was really crisply written. It was a numbered list, but it was like avoid looking on LinkedIn, get outside at least 3 times a day,
That
manage over the holidays, manage your how much you share about your joblessness with those who care for you, lest they judge or say something that hurts. It was things like that. And it was a 5 step prompt. And I got off that email. I thought, wow, what a clever, proactive thing. She's already showing the way she approaches the situation. She's offering pragmatic advice they can use right now. And
Mhm.
she's encouraging them, I'll be back. I'm taking 3 days to be with my family and rest. But I'm here for you and here for you. Isn't that brilliant?
I think that's wonderful because sometimes we send an email or we fill out a form and we wonder where does it go? Is
Yeah.
right? Is someone really gonna read it? Or is the email I got here's the other piece we talked about AI, was that did someone really write that response? Or is it just an automatic generated response? And so as we think about everything that's shifting, um, to me, I still think we need to use our brains. We
Yes.
s we need to be creative, and if I can quickly send right, just a warm, "I'm out of the office, here's" or, "We're out doing X, Y, and Z, we're facilitating, we're coaching," whatever that is. First of all, I want someone to know that we are servicing, and we'll get back to them, so they feel that human touch, and I love her that other example of the 5 tips, I think that's brilliant.
Yeah, I need to reach out to that coach and tell her how I received it. And actually, it was automated. It was part of her out of office, but it
Mhm.
was written with such affection and care and from her heart, no jargon. I mean, all the best practices we know to be true for effective business communication were existed in that. Short, crisp, relatable language, heartfelt, and they were pragmatic, simple tips. I resist using the word simple, but there was nothing fancy about it, but they were well thought out. You knew that she knew these things could help, and they sounded very caring. So I wonder too if there's a version of that that's just a little short video. Like, why not have a little short video on YouTube and you share it in the hyperlink along with the tips? That's something to think about.
That is. Okay, you go
Yeah.
test that and let me know how it goes.
I will, and keep it short, like 1 minute.
That's right.
Yeah. How are we doing for time? I have 1 or 2 more questions, and I'm mindful
I
of your time.
yeah, I have time.
Okay. So when you and I set ICF credentialing exam. You to renew your PCC and me to try to get my PCC up to the MCC. You
Hmm.
set yours in 2023. I set it in February 2026 in a pre-show chat. We both confirmed it was brutal,
Yes.
tear-inducing, and not tears of
Yes.
joy, tears of despair. And we both got off that exam, 3 hours of it at different times, and we were both convinced we failed
Yes. I
after
walk
huge amounts of prep.
all of the prep, right? The prep that goes into it, all of the education hours to even be able to sit for these exams, all of the coaching hours. I walked out mine. I went to the location, so it was proctored. I walked out and took a breath, and the person at the front desk said, "Well, let me pull up your results." And I said, "I just need a minute, please. I need a minute." She's like, "No, it's okay. I will print it and I'll put it face down." And I thought,
She
I,
knew.
and I'm like, I'm going to cry either way. So please don't read anything into these tears because I thought for sure. And when I took mine in 2023, if I was allotted a break, I didn't take it. I sat there for the full 3 hours, and there were tears of joy, but it was really scary to turn that piece of paper over to see if I passed or not.
I'm laughing because it's so familiar. So I set mine, like I said, February 2026. Full fault of my own. I had a very cavalier attitude about that exam before I looked into what it entailed. I thought it was just a refresher of my knowledge of the competencies. And then something vaguely reminded me of one of my ICF mentor coaches saying, no, it's a bit more than that. I remember those words. And I looked into it. I'm like, I looked at the sample questions. I'm like, these are so obscure. It was, if you haven't sat this exam yet, listeners, no, they are scenario based questions. You're given a lot of them. I can't remember how many, but I barely finished the 3 hour exam. There are a lot, and you must respond to a series of scenarios. What is the best and the worst way to respond?
Mhm. And I,
Uh,
and
uh,
I believe there were
yeah,
four options.
say that last part again. We had a small blip.
Yep, I believe there were four options for us to choose from,
That's right.
to
Yes.
where we could choose, yeah, the best and the worst, and then there was the other two options in there. Yeah.
Yes. So maybe we schedule in the future a YouTube video of how we think we passed, because those are doing quite well on YouTube, actually, because I looked at a lot of them. I think the only reason I passed, and I talked about this with my very rational husband, who's an engineer and statistician, and then my two very rational minded mathematician sons. And we wondered if it was just scaled, because I was so I was so confused with some of the questions. It felt like throwing a dart at a board. I had no idea. I couldn't find the head nor the tail of the snake. Did you feel the same way?
I did. And it was really, it was easy for me to find the wrong answer.
Yeah.
Like that one jumped out. And and then the next one, like, not sure. But when you got down to two, which one was the best out of
Mm.
those options, it was really hard,
It was
really
really hard.
hard.
If I had to appeal to the ICF for anything, because I apparently they remodel or review these exams every year, it would have compassion. Well, I know they translate it into multiple languages for our global body of coaches all over the world, but if the English version was so confusing, then I can't even imagine what the translated version would be. So it was too vague and ambiguous, I think. There's a need for more specificity.
Hmm.
And also if you just look at it from an audience-centered viewpoint, best practices of effective business communication is avoid dense paragraphs. The passages were too dense to wade through. Don't you agree?
It took a lot of time to read through all of those paragraphs, and
Yeah.
everything is electronic.
Right.
Right. So also you get fatigue of 3 hours of reading, choosing an answer, and then to the next 4 or 5 paragraphs or the next scenario and choosing an answer. There was a lot to that.
Yeah, so I
Yeah.
think there's gonna be a request. I'm hearing this from a lot of coaches who sat this exam this year. There'll be a request, I think, for clearer, shorter paragraphs, a little bit more empathy for us as coaches sitting this. It's it was too much time to prep, and I think what saved me in the end was I did pay for a service that gave me samples that I could go through, but those were exhausting. The sample exams were exhausting, so they
Right,
were
and when I sat in 2023, it was January, Friday the 13th of
oh,
2023, right? So not necessarily the best day to select, to sit for that exam, but there was no study guides at that
no. There
time.
was no study guide.
And
Yeah,
so I know there's been some new things that have come out, which I'm sure are helpful as a starting point.
yeah.
But I remember just sitting in my car afterwards and thinking, I have no idea what just happened to me for the last 3 hours.
That's
Right?
really
It's just
funny.
I just
I
sat
will
there and just had to sit and be excited and kind of overwhelmed at the same time.
That's gorgeous. I'll finish this, session just with 3 short tips that are coming to me while they're top of mind if anyone's taking this exam this year. One is I did watch YouTube videos. There were some really fun ones out there, and there are some excellent ones with people, two coaches sitting together, and they take the question and then they talk through how they might answer it, and then they take a stab at it, and then they get to see if it was right or not. So those were actually really fun. I did use ChatGPT in the end because I printed out the code of ethics and I printed out the competencies and I read through them and I asked the bot to give me 5 questions. I found that my ADHD couldn't take those long exam
Mm,
samples because there were like 200 questions or 80 questions and I'd get overwhelmed. But if I gave the bot, give me 5 questions challenging my knowledge of this competency or this code of ethic, and that made it more digestible, and I was able to
sure.
see instant answers. And then I think the third thing, definitely reading through the code of ethics because and the deeper dive. I can't remember the title for the deeper dive, like recommendations or different scenarios. There's a broader version of that code of ethics that gives you different scenarios, and reading that through a few times, not to
Mhm.
memorize, but just to try to think about it from the assessor's point of view, and that helped me think more about what they're looking for. What say you?
Well, I agree. I read through the Code of Ethics, and then I went back onto the ICF website and retook the ethics course. And
Ah,
so just to go through and see how ICF at the time was talking about each of those, the ethics, and there was also some scenarios there as well. And that was really helpful. And also looking back, for those who are going to take it, there is the title of each area, ethical area that you're going to be focused on. And so as you're answering the questions, if you're stuck, my advice would be think about what is the ethical area that you're focused on in that moment, and that may also help you make your decision.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, Jennifer, it's been such a pleasure having you on competency number 5 with me today. Thank you for visiting us. And what are you working on this week? What's your big rock this week if you haven't already moved it?
My big rock this week is I'm getting prepared for 3 coaching sessions to happen on Thursday and onboarding a new coaching client. So making
Cool.
sure I have everything ready so that they have a nice onboarding experience and so we can um, work together and help them move things forward.
Oh, well, good luck with that. It was really lovely having you on the
Thank
show.
you.
We'll have you back again.
Sounds great. Would love to come back, Debbie.
Thanks, Jennifer. Oh, and how can my listeners find you? Feel free to plug your website, or I'll certainly put things in
Sure.
the show notes, but how can they reach you if they're just listening?
Sure, you can reach me. You can go to our website, which is jennifermaxsonassociates.com, or feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn and happy to have a conversation.
Thanks, Jennifer. You take good care, okay?
Thanks, Debbie.
Bye.